Fridays at 7:20 here on the show by our very good friend Brent Hubbs of VolQuest's and On3. Brent, what's going on? Good morning.
Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well on a beautiful Friday morning. Certainly it is in East Tennessee. Big weekend, obviously, for Tony Vitello and the baseball team, and big weekend in recruiting with some official visitors, and big week for Tennessee football as everybody gets back in town and they get cranked up with all-season work and a critical 100 days or so for this football team before they get ready to play Syracuse.
I love it. The Tennessee beat and grind never stops, Brent. You have also been doing some recruiting on Twitter at Brent_Hubbs, recruiting Ramon Foster. You've got bales of hay here. You've got different pictures of the work that's going on. It has the 4-star here in Nashville. I don't want to make his head too big. I won't call him a 5-star. Has the 4-star Ramon Foster from Ripley, Tennessee. Like, how's the recruiting pitch going to get his help out there, Brent?
Well, he went to see the alligators in Florida, from what I understand.
Right.
So that tells you how much he was interested in working on the farm with me, as he decided to go play with alligators or something. I don't have any idea, but he claims he didn't get an invite or something, and whatever. I mean, we'll see. I mean, listen, when you're a veteran of the NFL like he is, and people throw rose petals at your feet when you start walking in the room and all those things, the chances of getting him working a hay wagon's probably not real high, but hey, we'll continue to challenge him because why not, right?
Well, we'll get his NIL agent on the line, Brent, for you. No
I love how Brent threw in there too. He's like, claims he didn't get an invite. I'm like, yeah, he's saying what I'm hearing, and that is, once a player, always a player. That's where you're at.
I love it.
That's exactly right.
I love it. Well, Brent, with Tennessee football ramping practices up once again, it feels like every week, Brent, until Tennessee plays Syracuse, we're going to be starting with updates on quarterbacks and Joey Aguilar and Jake Berklinger and George McIntyre. What have kind of been the early returns and on the field, what people are kind of impressed with Joey Aguilar so far, Brent?
Well, I think, again, one of the more impressive things with him is he's just come in and gone to work. And he's not forced himself. He's not, been, I'm the guy. He understands he's got to go earn it. He's got to go earn people's respect. And so, I mean, I think he's tried to do that, and I think he's doing a good job with that. Just going to work in the film room, learning as much as he can. It changed this weekend when everybody got back in town. Now you're, getting throw-in sessions, and now we're going to see how competitive that room gets and how they handle everything, because, we've seen it where guys really work well together and everybody splits reps. And we've also seen it in times where one quarterback will lock another quarterback out of the room and won't let him in. There's a guy in the Hall of Fame that locked out a quarterback to help his stock and to help his opportunities. So we'll see. I mean, they're going to be competitive. I think how you handle it, how these guys go about it with their teammates is going to be interesting, and how the receivers go about it, because the receivers are all trying to figure out, who do I throw with? And the reality is right now you better be throwing with everybody, because this thing is not, Joey Aguilar is not the chosen one coming in. He is the guy who is taking a roster spot that has the most experience, but it's not like he's the guy that you anointed a huge salary for, that you're going to end up playing because of that. That's not how that room is right now. That room's pretty balanced. And I think it's going to be fun to watch what happens over the course of the next few weeks as those guys get to throw in and the returns sort of come back on all those guys. Joey has a live arm, got a quick release. I think there's a lot of things to like about where he's at. I think the biggest question is, how much of the offense does he learn? How much carryover is there from App State? How much has he already picked up? How much can he continue to pick up here in the month of June?
Brent, you guys have written about this at VolQuest.com. With all the talk about David Sanders and his insertion into this lineup, Lance Herdt is looking to make a jump from year 1 to year 2 within this offense as well. You guys wrote about kind of the weight changes and adjustments that he has made this offseason. Just what are the expectations for him, and how has he gone about maybe reshaping his body and getting ready to hit the ground running more quickly this season than maybe he did at times last season?
Well, this is the old proverbial contract year. Now, in the NIL world, those aren't as big as they used to be. But this is a guy who's third year in college, going to be NFL draft eligible at the end of the year. So you can make a huge jump here, right? And I think the one thing Lance has done is Lance has lost nearly 25 pounds. He's in better shape. He's working to be in better shape. I don't think people realized last year just how much time he missed in July and early August after he had the knee procedure, and how much that messed him up, how much that got him sort of out of shape and got him overweight. He played too heavy a year ago. It showed. He did not play well enough. I think he's motivated to play much better than he did last season, knows he needs to play better, and knows there's a huge opportunity in front of him if he can take a real leap. So I think he's putting in the work. You just need him to stay healthy. And, man, the knee injury really set him back last summer. It was a much bigger deal than any of us knew at the time that, we saw him in August with that heavy knee brace. I mean, he was limited the first couple of weeks of fall camp, not just in the month of July, and that really affected him as he was trying to get further and further into this offense.
Brent Hubbs with us here on Ramon and Will on 104.5 The Zone. Brent, you also touched on some weight changes and some things as it pertains to some guys on the defensive side of the ball. Give us an update there of what some guys' body shapes and sizes are changing.
Well, I know you love the draft stuff. I'm going to give you one that needs to be on your board to dive into. I think Jackson Moy is getting ready to really, really pop on the scene. I really do. I think he's a guy that, under the tutelage of Rodney Garner, is a guy who played a nice role last year, but is a mainstay on that defensive front. He's lost a good bit of body fat. He's been challenged by Rodney to be more explosive. He's been challenged by him to be a better leader, and it is showing up right now. That is the guy that they are really, really high on. Feels like he's going to take a real step. I think he's going to be a guy that a lot of people are talking about as the season progresses, as a guy who can push the pocket a little bit, but going to play the run really well, and is going to be a good player. I think he's going to play vertical the way Rodney wants to. I think the biggest surprise out of that group right now is Ethan Utley, the freshman from Nashville. Ethan had battled some illness back in January that he dropped quite a bit of weight. He's put that weight back on. He's showing explosiveness. He's going to play inside. He's probably got enough bend that he could play some strong side defensive end, but he's going to outgrow that and be an inside guy. So he's going to play there. But, I think both he and Isaiah Campbell, both the freshmen, are going to be a part of a six-man rotation. And Rodney's committed to playing young guys. He mixes those young guys in with veterans. And so he will take and, he'll play Utley in there with Jackson Moy, or he'll play Campbell in there with Bryson Easton. He won't put those two freshmen in there together unless it's mop-up duty against somebody. But those guys are going to play. And I think both Utley and Campbell, particularly Utley, has probably exceeded everybody's expectations to this point.
Jackson Moy, duly noted. I'll put that in the early Coach Mack board.
Yes, I would. I think I really do. I mean, I think that I think he's going to be great with GMs. I think his tape is going to be really good. I think he's going to be a guy, not a first rounder, but I think he's going to be a guy that people will look at and go, okay, yeah, we get it. That's another one of those Tennessee defensive linemen. Much like people looked at Omar Norman Lott and was like, well, he didn't play a lot, but boy, when he played, he was really effective. We like him, and you saw where he went in the draft.
Yeah, to one of the places you'd want to go for sure. All right, I know we're going to talk about super regional baseball as it pertains to the Vols and the Arkansas Razorbacks here in a moment, but I do want to get you to expand a little bit on what gear the Vols are going to be wearing in the not-so-distant future between Nike or whether it's Adidas, and how that kind of shapes out.
Well, we'll see. I mean, both those two companies are interested in Tennessee. Obviously, Tennessee's been with Nike for a decade, so they have the last say. And what that means is, whenever Adidas makes a formal pitch, Nike has 15 days to respond and counter if they want to, or match, or whatever the case may be. We'll see how much they want to do that, or how much they're just, we're not going to get into that kind of bidding war type deal. And we'll see how much money Adidas really throws out there. We've heard that Adidas is going big money-wise, but, I haven't seen anything on paper to tell me how big that is. But what we know in this day and age of college athletics is every dollar counts more than it's ever counted. it's why the league's going to 9 games. They can all talk about playoff formats all they want to and everything. You just can't walk away from TV paying you another $80 to $100 million to play another conference game. Everybody needs money. The arms race now is not for facilities. The arms race now is for cash. Who can have the most cash, because that's what's going to win. And that's what's going to help you have roster build in all sports, roster continuity, retention, all those things. Every dollar counts right now with where we are. And who knows if the House settlement ever gets done and all those things. And until it does, there's no parameters coming really. And so you got to have every amount of money you can have. And I think that's why a lot of people think Adidas is a very, very real possibility if they're going to pony up a significant amount more money than what Nike's willing to do.
Well, and contractually, it makes sense, since Nike's had that for the last decade, that they would have the first right of refusal. That's very interesting.
Yeah, so it's one of those deals. It's the contract was written that they had exclusive negotiating rights up until the end of March. And so that for the last, from mid-December or 1st December last year until March was an exclusive negotiation for a redo, a re-up, if you will, with Nike. And that window closed at the end of March, and Adidas made it very clear very early on, once that window closed, that they were highly interested and wanted to talk to them, and were talking money, and Tennessee started talking with both companies. And at the end, based on the contract, Nike gets a 15-day window on the back end after there's a formal offer from Adidas. Nike gets 15 days to mull that offer over, look at what Adidas is offering, and decide if they want to counter it or if they want to match it or what they want to do. Or they can come back 24 hours after they see that and go, you know what, that's not in our ballpark. We're not interested in that, and walk away. So I think it's coming probably early July. It could come a little earlier than that, but I think a final decision on this is probably going to be the early part of July, if I were guessing right now.
So, Brent, a big recruiting visit weekend for Tennessee football this weekend as well. The local product, Joel Wyatt, who we've talked a lot about, expected to be on campus. I love Luke Thompson and his story. Another guy expected to be around. One of the fastest players in the mid-state for Franklin High School, who had a great season this past season. They're in a really difficult division in Williamson County. And then Darius Gray, Brent, who I'm fascinated by, kind of that big, I guess, lineman prospect that Tennessee finds itself in a battle with this season. I want to start with Gray, Brent, and just where Tennessee is in that battle, because some big, heavy hitters vying for his services and a major battle for Tennessee for a big-time prospect up front.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting with him is he's hard to get a feel for, because he's kind of liked sort of where he's visited last, right? That, this school's had a momentum coming out of an unofficial visit, or this school has the momentum, but it's getting decision time now, and the official visits will be the factor for him. He's going to take 3 here over the next 3 weeks, and then make a decision from there. I think Tennessee has some ground to make up. It's a big weekend with him to try to get there, but if anybody says they've got a feel for what his recruitment's going to look like over the course of the next 3 weeks, then they should go to Vegas and lay some money down on something somewhere, because they're going to win big. Because I think he's a big unknown, big body, really good player, highly sought after. But it's felt like he's kind of all over the map at this point, and I think he's going to remain that way through the month before he makes the final decision.
So, Brent, moving forward into the Super Regional, we've got Chris Burt coming up in the next hour to talk more about this, but so many storylines and so much time we could spend just breaking down the different dynamics of Tony Vitello versus Dave Van Horn of Tennessee, and kind of what has become a big rival on the baseball front in Arkansas. What is the X factor in this series, in your opinion? Where is this thing won or lost this weekend for the Vols?
Well, I think obviously Tennessee's got to throw it well. They've got to pitch well. I think the X factor when I look at this is Tennessee's got to play clean behind their pitchers. This isn't an explosive Arkansas offense. You can't give them extra outs. And Tennessee's not been a great fielding team. That you just can't make that bad throw at second. And it's not about letting a runner go first to third or something like that. you just can't give them extra outs. When you get an out, you got to get an out. So I think the X factor for me is how cleanly does Tennessee play behind their pitchers. We know Dole's got to throw it well. We know Phillips has to throw it well. We know after that it's we'll see, right? But you can't be in a situation where you got a 2-run lead in the 6th, and all of a sudden you're down 2 runs because you threw it into the dugout basically, or you threw it and missed an easy play. You've got to make the routine play if you're Tennessee. I think that's an X factor when you look at how much Arkansas can score and how well they score. They averaged, I think, 8 runs against Tennessee in the series that they played a few weeks ago. So they're going to score. You can't give them any extra opportunities to score.
Brent, when you look at the transfer portal again in another sport that happens during the postseason, because that just makes so much sense. Tennessee hosted Virginia transfer Henry Ford on campus this past week. I know On3's got him as the #1 player in the transfer portal, leaving Virginia, a 3-time freshman All-American back in 2024. How strong are Tennessee's chances of landing a guy like this, and how active do you see Tennessee being in the transfer portal this summer for Tony Vitello?
Well, I think they're going to be active, and you've seen it. I mean, they're already doing work with pitchers. They've got to retool some things in their pitching staff, and I think Tony has gotten comfortable with the transfer portal. I think the transfer portal can be even more, I guess, I don't know if easier is the right word, but the transition can be even better next year because Tennessee's bringing a core group of young guys back that are going to be the nucleus of that team. This team didn't really have that. You played a lot of freshmen, and you played a lot of transfers. And so you had Hunter Ensley, and that was kind of your core veteran guy. Well, now you look at some of these freshmen that have played this year that'll be coming back next year. There's a good number of those guys that are going to be kind of your core, which will help with some of that transition. But, Tennessee's always going to look for pitching in the portal. They're always going to look for a big stick. NIL will be a factor with some of these transfers as well. We talk about football, Will, and about how screwy the transfer portal is for football. And it's because there's the 2 portal windows. I mean, college baseball doesn't get enough talk for how jacked up the portal window is for them right now. Right. Think about it. I mean, you're playing for a chance to go to Omaha. You're hosting visitors. Okay, you say, well, basketball does that at the end of the season. But the X factor for baseball is you don't know what the draft's going to give you.
Right.
So, how many do you need in the portal?
Right.
Well, we think we need 2. Well, what if you lose 2 to the draft? Well, now I need 4. But I didn't know that at the time. Yeah. Nothing in the calendar makes sense. I mean, it just the whole portal windows for seemingly every sport seems off. And I don't know academically how you can fix it or what you do to go about fixing it. But, boy, it seems to me like baseball would want it after their draft to know what their class looks like. Okay, we're getting that pitcher. Oh, no. He got drafted in the 4th round, and they've overpaid in the slot for him, and we're not going to get him after he told us there was no way he would go. But there's too much money for him to pass up. We've got to go replace him. Well, you want to go replace him with an experienced guy from the portal, but those guys are all going to be gobbled up. So it's a jacked up deal for the portal. And then right now, what baseball's dealing with is what basketball's dealing with, and to a degree what football's dealing with. They don't have any idea how many scholarships they have.
Right.
I mean, are we going to be a 40 scholarship team? Are we back to partials? Hey, I don't know. The judge says, hey, I'm going to delay the House settlement till June 27th. That's supposed to go in effect on July 1st. It all makes sense, right, Will?
It makes so much sense.
It's just common sense. There's just so much common sense prevailing through the world of college athletics right now that, I mean, it's the most level-headed thing in America. It's college sports. We can't even decide if you're going to do a 2-portal window, a 1-portal window in football. Are you going to do it in January or are you going to do it in May? I don't know. When are you going to decide that? I mean, season starts in 95 days. We got plenty of time. We'll deal with it. We'll let you know by December 1.
You make a great point.
We'll do the same thing. We'll do the same thing with the playoff. We'll let you know what the 26th playoff looks like 6 months before you start playing for it. Makes sense.
I love it. You make a great point, though. Baseball probably gets the shortest end of the stick of anybody. You're totally right. And it's going to be harder and harder to just sustain success, it feels like. I mean, that's the thing, Brent, with what Tony Vitello's done with 5 straight super regionals. There's a reason why nobody else is really doing that right now.
It's dumb. What
Yeah.
he's done is dumb.
Right.
I mean, it really is. I mean, they've been fortunate. They've
Sure.
hit on transfers. They've stayed healthy for the most part. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing what he has accomplished at this point in time. And here's the thing about that sport. It's only getting more and more expensive.
You're right.
And what's happening, and it's great for the game. It's a challenge behind the scenes. But with NIL out there, do you want to ride a bus in low A ball or high A ball? Or do you want to travel on a charter with a nutritionist, a strength coach, and all your meals paid for every day as a college baseball player? Where do you groom and where do you develop more? Riding bus from little town to little town, or playing on the biggest stage in the college game? And, oh, by the way, you're making money doing that. You're making a lot more money doing that than you are riding a minor league bus.
100%.
They're all going to come to – I mean, unless you're going to get stupid money from Major League Baseball, they're all going to come to the college game right now because financially it makes more sense to do that. It's great for the game. It's a real challenge for coaches to manage the roster, and it's a real challenge for ADs to try to figure out, okay, how much money are we going to invest in a sport that's going to lose millions? But to win, we're going to have to invest at a high level, knowing we're never going to get our rate of return on that. But we want to win in that sport because in this league, this sport's a really big deal. And we just put $200 million or $150 million into a baseball stadium, and we're paying the head coach over $3 million. Why? I'm not going to shortchange his roster. That makes no sense. You know, why are we going to go bargain basement there? So it's a real challenge to manage it behind the scenes. But again, for the fans, the product's never been better for college baseball.
Should be quite a scene at Fayetteville this weekend for Tennessee and Arkansas. Brent Hubbs of VolQuest joins us Fridays to make sense of a college sports world that doesn't really make sense here on the show. Brent, always a pleasure. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you.
I'm going back to the bean patch where it makes sense.
There you go.
But Ramon will not be there. I can promise.
That's right. Thank you, Brent.
All right, see you guys.
All right, Brent Hubbs with us, brought to you by
One of a kind,
Federal
brother.
Credit Union, your financial partner for every stage of life, the best of the best.